Hello and welcome. My name is Grace. This is my channel and hope you're all doing well today. Hope this is in frame. Let's have a little catch up. Okay, so I just want share with you a little bit what's been going on with me this year. Wow, this year. It's almost half done. Okay, I exaggerate. It's a third of the way done. I spent the first, I don't know, 3 months of the year, the first quarter of the year, trying to figure out, I don't know, just trying to figure things out. It's been a really strange year for me. Now, in tarot, um, according to Mary Kay Greer, the whole, when you do the numerology of your birth year, of your birth date, I entered a hermit year at my birthday in July of last year, and it really, really took hold, um, like like crazy. It really took hold like crazy, and I didn't know what my I hadn't done the calculation. It's not something I do every year. It's something that it comes and goes, whatever. Or only if there's circumstances that make me want to check the numerology of my year. Like I'm really checking the numerology because I come from a numerology thing. Like I was doing numerology for decades. Like it's just a thing. I pay attention to numbers. Numbers don't lie, like my friend Kumateri says. Numbers don't lie. So I only looked at it, I think, at the start of this year, and I realized, oh, I'm in a hermit year. Explains so much. Um, I have really been enjoying personal solitude. Let me explain. You know, I have a sizable family, and we all live under the same roof, and it's fantastic. It's a multi generational family. We have my father-in-law, my husband and I, our kids, cat, dog, wonderful. But I am able, because I'm an introvert, and those of you who care about Myers Briggs, I'm INFJ. I um I can enjoy personal solitude. Basically, I could, just go inside my own world and, well, sorry, it's the Italian in me with the hands, right? I can go I can enter my own world and spend a lot of time in there. It has done me a world of good. But also, by the same token, I find myself wanting to share a lot of it. So today I'm going to do a little catch up, and I don't know, I think I'm starting to feel like I'm not sure, because I'm really enjoying the keeping things to myself. It makes it sound like, whatever. I'm not sharing the information, the info. I'm not spilling the tea. No, I'm not spilling the tea on what I'm doing, because I feel creative, and I felt the creative fire hit me last month. No, no, I want to say that it really, really like started the fire. It was a spark. It was a spark over the last 6 to 8 months, and then it was a raging fire. It became a raging fire in April, probably coinciding with the total eclipse. I don't live where the total eclipse was visible. And I don't normally, not that I don't believe, it's more like I don't normally pay attention to, or don't normally notice any kind of effects on me about things like eclipses. But I was freaking miserable leading up to that solar eclipse. And I was expecting to feel energized afterwards because, the total eclipse, the full moon in Aries, you know what I mean, all that fire. And instead, I felt even more miserable after, and then it cleared. And then it cleared. And then I found myself just, I would say, a couple of weeks ago. So a couple of weeks ago, the creativity, I felt it. I felt that fire burning, that fire of creativity burning, wanting to do stuff, make stuff, create, write. I felt right in that. I felt like I finally slipped into that stream. But I have to say, I was freaking miserable leading up to it. So here I wanted to share. I don't know if other people, because again, Hermit, right? I've really been like hermiting. I've been watching just I use YouTube a lot, but I haven't been watching the deck content because I'm not in that headspace anymore, and I'm going to expound on that later. I don't watch witchcraft content because the few people I follow, it's not that I don't watch it, it's just that I just watch when they post, right? And like me, they're busy doing stuff. So maybe they're feeling hermity too. So the people I do watch haven't uploaded a lot, so that's kind of nice. Not that they haven't been uploading, but it's been nice because every week there's something for me to watch too of the creators that I follow. But I've really gone internal, really gone. I mentioned this in a previous video, or I'm pretty sure I did, where my spiritual practice has gone internal. And I guess that was part of the whole hermit year, where I'm not doing outward expressions of my spirituality as much. It's more meditation, prayer, communing with spirits, that kind of stuff. I think people call it trance work. I don't call it that. I've been practicing so long and I don't have words for most of what I do. I think I need to read some books to find out what people are calling stuff, because I've been practicing for so long. I don't know the lingo to express to you, for instance, what it is that I do. So I'm working on it. Okay. I borrowed a book from the library last summer that I really was attracted by the cover and the fact that it was by Rick Rubin. I don't know if other people are talking about this book. This is my favorite spiritual book so far of the year, but I would have to say of this millennia so far. And that's saying a lot. And it's in its simplicity that it is. It is sacred in its simplicity. Do I think he set out to write a spiritual book? I do. He has 78. He's got, let me find it here. Sorry, I'm not going to spend too long on this. 78 areas of thought. There's 78 cards in the tarot. I've I've read. I did a little bit of did a little bit of digging. That he is somewhat like us. Those of you watching that are tarot kind of people. This book, in simple language, for me, I've experienced that it's opened my mind, but more importantly, as it opened my heart, it's allowed me to be. It's helping me work on my debilitating perfectionism, which perfectionism is not good. It's not good. The only place that perfectionism is good is in an occupation where it can be exploited. Where you can be exploited for your perfectionism. Perfectionism is not good for us. It is not a good mental state, and it's just not healthy. It's not healthy. It's the opposite of self-love. Perfectionism is the opposite of creativity, which I am exploring a lot since I'm currently on sabbatical from my healthcare professional gig. Okay, so I'm not working as a healthcare professional currently. I've taken a break. I'm trying to focus and refocus. I've been a healthcare professional since I was 17, and I'm 55. That's my whole adult life, people. My whole adult life. So I'm in a place where I'm trying to figure out who the fuck I am. All right? So that this book is helping. Also, it lends itself, his writing and the structure of the book lends itself beautifully to bibliomancy. So if I were to say what's my favorite deck this year so far, it's this book. And Rick Rubin doesn't need me promoting his book. Everyone I know that's an artist loves it. So, and it's getting, a lot of play. Okay. What else? So I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about other things that I've been really enjoying. So we're going to get to let's talk about some decks. Okay. So the deck situation, guys, that was a really long road for me. Having, I started culling and figuring out my deck situation. It's years now, right? But I feel like I'm finally I'm in a good place. Do I have to do the disclaimers? Okay, if you're watching me, you know how I feel about deck collecting. It's not for me. The acquisition of decks and putting them on a shelf, that is not for me. But I am a collector of the things that I find amazing and fascinating, or things I enjoy. I have a perfume collection. I mentioned this before. It's vintage perfume. That cabinet is like a time machine for me. Excuse me. And even that I plan to be editing this year. I've edited my tarot decks and oracle decks. I feel that where I am right now, really, again, like last year, I'm good. I'm in a place that it reflects my practice. It reflects what I enjoy. But also, I actually went for a little bit of whimsy this year. Whimsy. Oh my God. I did a soft open. And this is going to lead into the decks. I did a soft open on my website on January 6th, and I opened a Patreon as well. My website, I posted. I'm seeing people again for readings, tarot readings, spiritual counseling, spiritual not counseling, consultation, um, appointments, right? And I hadn't I hadn't really said anything about it because I had a little bit of a backlog that I had to work through of people that had requested, that were emailing me and asking me when I was going to come back. So now that I'm caught up, it's it's up on my website, and if you're interested in a service from me, whether it's a tarot reading or a spiritual consultation, um, it's it's up now. It's solidly up. My Patreon has been really an experience. It's I haven't figured out my groove yet with Patreon. It is heavily focused on Italian folk magic. So I talk a lot about the historic, like the Italian folk magic, literally for Italian folk magic, not Italian American folk magic. Italian folk magic of my ancestors, of our ancestors, those of you who are also of the diaspora. Um, and I delve a little bit into uh, they're in the idiosyncrasies, um, and I discuss them a little bit in terms of their belief system or their beliefs. Also, by request, I'm slowly working through my book. I'm picking chapters at random where I read them and pronounce the words in Italian and the dialects that they are in, whether it's Abruzzese, Napolitan, Sicilian, and whatever else is in there, because my community was quite diverse, but mostly Southern Italian, Central and Southern Italian. So, but I haven't really gotten into a groove, and I am so grateful to my patrons who support me. Um, you don't even know. It really, whether you're there as a free member and you're just hanging out and waiting to see if I pop something up there that is of interest to you, that support matters, and I appreciate it. If you're a saint and you're contributing monthly, and for a little bit, and then you go or whatever, and then you come back, it's all good. Just seeing you there makes me feel supported and makes me want to continue the work that I'm doing. Decks? I said I was going to talk about decks. One last. Oh no. Okay, then I'll go back to creativity. Okay. So, I did. So my deck situation has been edited again, but has stayed pretty much the same. I have my animal. I have my Rider Waite, my animal tarot decks, Animal Wise. Last year, I got myself Brady Tarot for my birthday. I love it. I really do. But it's really hard for me to handle. That cardstock is murder. It's not murder. Okay, I exaggerate. But you know what? It's really hard to use a deck when you can't shuffle it. And I love everything about it except the usability for me is pretty low. So, but I still love it, and I'm gonna hang on to it. Um, so that, like, my tarot hasn't changed much, except I've added two this year. So and one of them was in January, and I don't have the box because I didn't like the box. So it lives in this bag that looks like a tree with a little mushroom button on the bottom. And it's Tarot of the Gnomes. It's a Lo Scarabeo deck. Lupatelli. Antonio Lupatelli is probably when it comes to the storybook type of illustrations, he's my favorite. And Tarot of the Gnomes is my favorite. It's called Tarot of the Gnomes, but it's really more a major arcana and cartomancy, and I didn't compare it to anything like Sibylla, but I think it's Sibyllish. You know what I mean? Like it's so here the 10 of Cups, holiday, vacation, right? So it has like the major arcana, which is absolutely adorable. And then you have something like 10 of Wands, the argument. I've been loving these guys. So they were on my desk. Look at this. Oh my God, look at this guy. So, and I'm going to stop with this one. I'm sure people have done flip throughs of this one. Tarot of the Gnomes, people. Tarot of the Gnomes, the first 3 months was so much fun. It's mostly a Cartomancy deck. It's got the major arcana. And it's just how truthful they are, because the minors and the courts are all about mundane issues. And they are brutally honest in terms of how the energy is very gnomish, and this has been so far, like up until the end of March was my on my desk for me kind of deck, and it helped me laugh at myself a lot. I know, right? Like, the next deck too is not. I don't know if the next deck I got. So this was January. So then I bought myself one recently that I've never had. I was curious about it, and it was reasonably priced. So if you can get a tarot deck for under $30, it's a bit of a big deal, especially where I live. Oh my God, if you can get a tarot deck for less than $30 where I live, it's a bit of a big deal. I got this one. This one I do have the box still. It's Wheel of the Year Tarot. I know, right? It's like it's like retro night here. Anyway, it has these backs, which I love, with the seasons and the wheel. I don't know why I was drawn to this one, other than maybe it was okay. So what happened with my gnomes is that they were on my desk every day since January, start of January. And then one day they decided that they were done. Like they needed a timeout. And those of you who interact with your decks and your animists, you know what I mean. It's like your deck is kind of telling you, yeah, we need a break. And I actually pulled out, like when I asked the deck, because I do, what's going on? They literally said, we need a vacation. Okay. All right. So I put them away, and they've been happy to be put away for a little bit. Come April, and I think it was last week that I got this one. I don't know why. And I don't I'm not acquiring decks like I used to. I have my baseline of the ones that I use all the time, but I felt like I needed this one. So I've seen where people in the past where people have trimmed this one because they don't like the 4 languages on the front. I find that when I look through it, one, it's like I'm not trimming decks anymore. 2, I discussed already in a video probably last year where my experience, I'm not saying it's going to be yours, I'm saying it's my experience has been where if I cut the titles off a tarot card, off a tarot deck, that it loses something. And I experienced this with multiple decks where all the ones that I trimmed the titles off are gone. Like I got rid of them because they didn't read like they did before I trimmed them. I'm not saying this is my experience. And okay, I'm sorry if I'm getting a little like, but I don't want to hear in the comment section that, I don't care. You can comment if you want. I suddenly realized I don't give a shit. But, if you like to trim your decks and that's your thing, good for you. Enjoy that. For me, I ended up having to like clear out a bunch of decks just because I trimmed them. They just didn't read anymore. They didn't. And that was my experience. All right. So, having said all that, I'm still a sucker for edging my decks. I don't think I showed you my gnomes, but I edged this one. And I wasn't sure about it at first. And see, that's the thing, right? When you slow your roll and you're not buying as many decks, you're not like, I wasn't even excited about bringing it home. I was more like trepidatious. It's like, oh my God, are you going to fit in? Are you going to fit in with my deck family? Are we going to get along? It didn't read for shit for me at all when I brought this one home. It just didn't read for me. It didn't read for me. It wasn't any good. I don't know. I'll show you some of the cards, but again, people have done flip through. This is not a flip through, just to share some of the cards that I really like. Well, no, they're just random. I didn't even bother with the ones I really like. So, okay, so I speak several languages. So for me, the languages around the cards doesn't bother me. And anytime I don't have to trim a deck, for me is a good time. And I want to keep the titles on them. But I brought this home, and I got to tell you, the first week, I thought, oh, what did I do? It's like, I have enough decks. I have more than enough decks. I wanted to bring in like a different kind of energy. I wanted a Fae-like energy, but I already had gnomes. I had Brian Froud's fairies. I wanted something else. So that's why I got this one. It took about a week to 10 days to bond with this one. That was interesting to me because I'm not bringing in, truckloads of decks every month like I did years ago and during the madness. I said, okay, well, I'm going to have to really work with this one and figure out if it's for me. If not, I was going to pass it on. And it took about 10 days, and it took a lot of understanding the spirit of this deck, because the spirit of this deck, I don't know, maybe I expected it to be like the gnomes. I don't know what I was expecting. But once I understood the spirit of this deck, then I felt like we were speaking the same language. I was understanding the readings. Because I got to tell you, I wasn't understanding the readings at first. It was like, what? Who? What? Where? What? What are you talking about? It took a while. I love the storybook feel. I love the storybook art. Antonio Lupatelli is still my favorite illustrator, artist for Scarabeo. But this one's nice too. It's not my favorite, but this one's nice too. I'm trying to see if I can find the name of the artist. But no, anyway. Wheel of the Year Tarot. Gnomes are really like, I use them, they're in the oracle realm. This is a tarot. I don't know how long I'm going to have it. I hope we bond really. Like, so far we're doing okay. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm open to occasionally try something that pops in my mind that I want to try, but I'm not. It's this experience with the Wheel of the Year tarot made me think of back when I used to bring in like a dozen decks a month, a week, whatever, right? It was incredible. What was that? It was outrageous what I was doing. And it was, oh, this is cute, whatever, and then I pop it on the shelf because it didn't pop right away in terms of reading, right? And this one's giving me pause. It's making me think, oh, well, maybe if I had slowed my roll and seen, like, if it had registered that I was bringing in all these decks that don't work for me, I would have stopped doing it. Hindsight is 2020, people. It's okay. It's all a learning experience. So my vibe, that's been my vibe. Like, the traditional tarot, Arthur Waite, Smith, Crowley Harris, Toth deck. The Toth is still my weekly beacon of what's going on or what I need to work on. And my animal decks and the occasional magical creatures, right? Okay. Another deck. Okay, I'm going to share this one because another thing that happened when I started reading for people again, like for the public, I couldn't use my Centennial anymore. My Centennial tarot that I purchased in 2017 has stiffened so much that I can't riffle shuffle it at all. The cards don't bend. They do not bend. They are stiffer than they were when I got them, and I don't know. It could be. I've asked friends, and friends have shared that they find that don't have arthritis in their hands that they have found too that their U.S. Games decks have stiffened, specifically the Centennial and any of those decks on that cardstock. And I was freaking sad because that's my reading for the public deck. So I spent a little money, a little extra money than I spent a little more than I would have. And I'm happy. I got this one off Make Playing Cards. This is the Conrad Stein original 1909 Roses and Lilies. And it's it's very comparable. It's what the Centennial is based on. So it's very comparable to the Centennial, except it has this really beautiful linen cardstock. I can actually riffle. I can riffle shuffle. I can riffle, bridge, really get into, really get into a groove, like really get into the zone for reading. Freaking love it. Absolutely love it. So this has replaced my Centennial. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I don't know how loud this is because the mic is right here. Okay, let me see if there was anything else I wanted to share in terms of decks. No, that's been pretty much the decks I've been. Okay, well, I'll look at my altar and tell you. So I still use my Living Altar Oracle on my altar for meditation, magical work, spiritual work, and all that stuff. It's more like a shrine than it is an altar because I haven't been doing outward expressions of magical practice in the year so far this year. So what I typically so I always have like an animal spirit that I'm working with. I've had one that's been repeating all year so far. It's Turkey Vulture, um, and it's very apropos. I have a Living Altar card that's been repeating because I do try to shuffle it and then pick at random because I find it I'm really bonded to that deck, and it's just for me it's like an extension of me. It really does read me and give me what I need at whatever time. And winter has been repeating for me, and it does tie in with the whole hermit year. And my proud fairy I've been working with is honesty because, and again, I shuffle and I picked a card at random and I got honesty, and I was thinking, wow, okay, because I'm always when I'm not when I don't know what it's about, it's very I find it fascinating the way it unfolds, and it's about being honest with myself. I didn't even know when I pulled that card last week. I didn't even know that was a thing until it was a thing. And so I've been working a lot on being honest with myself. And uh, between the the honesty fairy and the turkey vulture, it's it's been quite there's been quite a cleanup going on, and it's that's all I'm going to say about it because I don't want to bore you with my whatever. I'm going to share with you some things I made, and then I wanted to share a little bit how to get a good reading, a good tarot reading, because it's been coming up a lot, and I'm going to do another Q&A video coming up pretty soon, because I still have a long list. I just didn't want to make it all one big video, and I still have a long list, and I want to categorize them, so kind of make it a little themed, like all questions like that are related together kind of thing. Anyway, all right, so things I've made in the month of April. So oh yeah, depth year. So yeah, those of you who are trying out a depth year, depth year is my natural state. And this is, I don't know, year 3 or something like that I'm in a depth year. And instead of no buy, I remember doing a video at the start of the year. Instead of no buy, I'm doing an essential buy. And I've been like, that has been my friend introduced me to the language essential buy, and that has really worked for me well, because it does help me to pause before I go out and buy something. Do I really need it? Is it essential? And to focus perhaps spending my money on things that are essential and getting something that's better. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, part of I'm not going to call it a no buy because it's not, but part of my depth year lifestyle is for arts and crafts to use what I have. That's my only rule. I have to use what I have. So I had some scrap yarn, and I ended up I had posted this on Instagram. This is basically a sleeve for my grimoire. Well, that grimoire. It's a sleeve for it, and it was inspired by Crow's Magic Tarot. I had a bit of an experience with Crow's Magic Tarot this year. I'm just not ready to share it yet, but I think I'll end up telling you the story, because but not today. Those of you who I told, don't write it in the comments. Okay. So yeah, so this is crocheted, all from scrap yarn that I had, and I'm pretty happy with it. Inspired by Crow's Magic. It's got a bit of that crow. I crocheted the crow applique. I made everything. And I just used the scrap yarn that I had. It was very satisfying. It went very quick too. Again, I think I've said this on Instagram. I don't know if I've said it on YouTube, but I don't know what I'm making until I made it, unless I'm following a pattern. So this surprised me. I didn't know what I was making. I was just using up some scrap yarn. I made this little guy. So I made my first poppet last year out of scrap yarn, acrylic. This one I made it out of cotton, and obviously you could tell that I'm improving. You could tell I'm improving. This is a smaller gauge yarn, and it was a smaller crochet hook, but yeah. Again, it's just being in that creative space. It's the process. It's the process. It's not so much about the outcome. It's about the process. And it has felt so good. And the third thing I created this month was inspired by Astral Lady Tarot, Anna in Amsterdam. I I'd seen her videos where she makes a box, but I only clued in. It's funny, right? Because I'm working on perfectionism. I only clued in on her not measuring anything. The last one I watched. I'm going over to her channel and check it out. It's really it's a good vibe. It's a good vibe channel. Especially if you're like, a tarot person, it's a good vibe tarot channel. So that set me free. I said, oh, wait a second, what? Because I got so bogged down in measuring that I gave up multiple times on making a box. My number one favorite tarot deck for reading for myself, since I assembled it, I cobbled it together I think it was last summer. It could even be either last spring or the spring before. I don't even know anymore. I'd have to look it up on my Instagram when I posted a picture of it. Is the tarot deck I created by utilizing the images from soul cards. So reimagining soul cards 1 and 2 as a tarot deck. That is my number one tarot deck for reading for myself. If you have these decks, watch my video to be inspired to figure out your own. If you want to try out making a tarot deck from soul cards 1 and 2. If you're a person, I'm going to be very careful with language, so bear with me. If you are a person whose spiritual practice involves spirits and communicating and traversing into the other worlds, the other realms of existence, if you are that kind of practitioner, search no more. If you already have those decks, don't go out and buy them if you don't. Watch my video, see if it's even your vibe, right? But those decks that are marketed as shamanic never worked for me, and I found what I was looking for, that a deck that would reflect my experience of my relationship with land spirits, with the dearly departed, other worlds, other realms, ancestors, all that stuff. I found that vibe. I found that connection with the deck I created for myself. All this to say, I needed a box for it. I needed a box for it. Now it's really, the cardstock is really hard. It's not meant to be a tarot deck. Um, I've I figured something out for myself, which works just fine, and I needed a box. Works out beautifully for myself. I needed a box, so I made one, following. I did a lot of masking tape because I wanted that texture. Um, I basically dug a box, cardboard box, out of my recycling bin, and just changed the shape of the cardboard into the perfect box for my deck. So I'll show you what I did. I put because this is acrylic paint, and I got to tell you, when I painted this box, I said to myself, why don't I pull out my paints more often? I wanted to paint everything. So I need to explore that a little bit more, because obviously I miss my paints. I miss making stuff. Anyway, so because it's black acrylic paint, and then there's semi matte Mod Podge, it always stays a little. It doesn't feel sticky to the touch, but if you put it on a shiny surface, it'll stick. It just, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. So I put a square of felt on the bottom so that when I put it down, you know, and I lined mine with some felt fabric that my daughter donated to the cause, and I freaking love it. It just matches. And this card is, I can't remember if it's from 1 or 2, but this is my Queen of Wands. And it does, for me, it's also representative of, the spirit of the deck. Fire in the head, fire in the belly, fire in the head. If you know, you know, kind of thing, right? So if that's your kind of practice, if your practice is if your practice is one that crosses into other worlds, take a look at my video. Just look up soul cards, tarot, on my, just on the search, because I always say I'm gonna link stuff below, and I don't. So I don't want to promise something and then not carry through. So, oh yeah, and one other thing. So also, this year I've slowed down a bit with the decks, but books are different for me, and I finally see, where I live, things are hard to get online. Sometimes there's Amazon. If you're a Canadian, Amazon Canada, do not trust their pricing. Always compare it to Amazon.com if you aren't already. Always check Indigo, Chapters Indigo, to see if their pricing compared to Amazon, because Amazon Canada, holy cow. Anyway, I have too much to say about them, but I'm not gonna. I'm just off of them. So I finally got my hands on this one. I don't know if it's backwards or not. On if when you look at it, if you see it back, it's The Witch's Cabinet by Corinne Boyer. I ended up getting I don't know. I don't know. Is my hair still wet in the back? Sorry. The Psalter. I don't know why it's not here, but I got another book from. I ordered this one from Amazon Canada because it was appropriately priced. I don't know. Not I don't know. I got a little Psalter. I don't know why I don't have it here. It's a book of Psalms. Is it Jim McGarry? Oh my God, I'm terrible, people. I'm terrible. It's adorable. I got the hardback from Troy Books because they were having a 30% off um, selected hardback books. So I got myself the little hardback, and I've been using it a lot. I've been looking at it, and I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is, and so I'm just gonna let that go. So I got that. I'm also waiting for some other um, books that I ordered, also by Corinne Boyer. And I'm not even going to pretend I remember the titles because right now I'm flustered. And but anyway, some more Corinne Boyer books. Gemma Gary, I don't. I have her books. I have her books on audio. I think a couple of years ago I did a video where I described what it's like listening to her books when you're driving. I was driving on a mountain road, and then they start with the chanting and everything. It was awesome. It was freaking awesome. So I still have most of my library, most of my witchcraft library is Audible, and of more modern books is Audible, Kindle. Just because I'm running out of physical space for books, and I like the instant gratification of I want to read this book. Boom, it's on my tablet, or I want to listen to this. I want to listen to or because I've been with Audible like over a decade. Since Audible started, I've been an Audible member, and I know I know the narrators I like. So yeah, so it's really hard to talk about books um, for me because a lot of them I just forget because they're not physical books. Not that I forget, but how do I, for instance, I listened, so this year so far, I've listened to a few books, and one of them was Journey of Souls because I've always like my earliest interest in the occult and metaphysics has been life after death, because of personal experience, near death experience. Um, and that one is, I don't know, I might abandon it. And it's on audio. I think if it was a hard copy, I would have already given up. So that one, I don't know. It's just it's just very samey. And those of you who are into that subject matter, I agree with you. I know what you're saying. A lot of they're all samey. That's the point. Yeah, but this one kind of lost interest, which is, too bad, but that's the way it is. A book that I listened to, and can you listen voraciously to a book? Was Walk Through Walls, uh, Marina Abramovich, her autobiography, and narrated by her. Oh my God. If so, for me, there was a few elements there. One, her accent sounded similar, not exactly, but similar to my mom, and my mom's been gone, uh, going on 12 years in May. So she has a similar accent coming from, being Slavic and um, coming from that part of the world, even though Marina Abramovich is Serbian and my mother was ethnically Italian, born in Croatia. Still, there's something there. There's a familiarity. It's comforting. She's lovely. She tells a beautiful story. My only, and it's a really small criticism, is that as she gets to the end, closer to, it's very soulful and it's very rich when she talks about her parents, her childhood, her art, her relationships, her experiences. And then it gets a little, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but towards the end, it's like she ran out of steam, or it's just a little thin as towards the end of the book. And I don't know, like I have to revisit it. I have to re-listen to the ending again because I'm not quite sure why, like at a certain point the richness, the she really, she can express such strong emotion with few words. So I don't know. I don't know if it was towards the end, if it was me that wanted to go back to the earlier part of the book, or if it was the book itself where it started to, maybe it was, the moment was when she mentioned meeting Lady Gaga. I think that's, it was like, it was like glass shattering for me. I think it was a part, I don't know, perhaps my perception was wanting to be relevant. You're a freaking icon. You do not need, um, you don't need to illustrate that you're still relevant. You're a fucking icon, Marina Abramovich. Oh my God. Anyway, so I thought that was like really, really cool. It was nice to revisit Marina Abramovich because I first learned about her when I did my degree in creative arts. That was prior to my nursing degree, or concurrent. It's a bit of a story, people. It was kind of concurrent. And it was nice to revisit. Um, Also, I think because I think in this later half of my life, I'm, I might be, um, I'm having time to explore and to art as a subject matter, artists as people, and art as an experience and a creative endeavor. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I talked for a long time, but I did promise I was going to give some pointers about how to get a clean reading from tarot. Um, and what I mean by a clean reading, let's talk about like day to day stuff. This is just going to be about day to day things. Let's talk about decision making with tarot. First, let me say this. I have never made a decision. Okay, no, I lie because when I was younger, I did a lot of fucked up shit. But I would never today make a decision, an important decision, according to what a tarot reading tells me. However, I will utilize tarot in order to help me make an important decision. When when we have an important decision to make and we approach the tarot. Oh, maybe I should pull out my because I already showed you this one. Let me pull out my other little favorites. My affectionately known as bad haircut, badly trimmed. This one has no titles, it's badly trimmed. This is the only survivor because this one, it transcends. Even though it transcends. This one's full of magic. Anyway, enough about my ridiculous little tarot deck. When I approach tarot to make an important decision, I approach tarot once I already am firmly established in myself of what the two options are. Usually we can break it down to, or we can distill it down to two decisions that two options. if you have three options, you really need to be pondering it a little bit longer. This I learned from experience, my experience. Because if I have three options, one of them is not even viable. It's there out of vanity. It's there out of pride. You know, if I don't know how to illustrate this, but you know, like if you're having to make an important decision and you have two options that you're looking at, if there's a third option, that third option, in my experience, has always been due to my pride, due to my vanity, spitefulness. Sometimes it's like, oh well, fuck, then I should just do this and fuck everybody, kind of thing, right? Language. Okay. So when you have an important decision that you need to make, there's a thing that really works, right? Should I do A or should I do B? Flip a coin. Flip a coin. Because you will instantly know. So if you say heads, it's A, tails, it's B, you flip the coin. If you feel in your gut that that's good, you're good. That's what you're going to decide. That's what you should do. If you feel in your gut you disagree with what the coin flip is, you still know what you really want to do. You could do the same kind of thing with tarot. But this is if you want to explore it with tarot. What I like to do with tarot is this. I'm just going to pick cards at random, okay, people? So it's whatever. So whatever they are, they are. So liar, liar, pants on fire. I guess I do layout. I do have a couple of layouts that I use. So this is one of them. So I will have one card. So I will think about and I will meditate on decision number one, option number one. And option number one, I will draw a card and I will put it down. And then I'll meditate on option number two and I will draw a card and I'll put it down. Now, those of you that read tarot, you look at this, you go, oh, well, option number one would be the winner. Not exactly. Now, I have cards that represent option number one and option number two. I need to now meditate on, well, what does this mean for option number one? What will be required of me? So I'm going to make it up because I don't have anything real, right? So option number one requires that I need to freaking control myself. And, you know, cool heads will have to prevail if I choose option number one. I'm going to have to slow my roll a little bit. I'm going to have to control my beastly nature. I'm going to have to perhaps dim my fire a little bit. I'm going to have to control my enthusiasm. Like this could you could spend a lot of time on that one card, but try to see, like, the point is to explore, what does this mean in relation to what I would have to do, or what will be required of me if I go with option number one or option A. Option B is five. It's fire. It's wands. It's very, very active. But it also might be, maybe I don't want, I need, perhaps in this scenario, I need to ask myself, what do I want to do? Do I want to compete? So obviously, I'm going to go with a job kind of thing, because that's the easiest. That lends itself to this. Do I want to compete? Do I want to enter the ring? Do I want to enter the ring and fight the other gladiators to see who reigns supreme, or do I want to just manage and be supportive of other people, and, you know, experience more of a quiet power instead of demonstrating my strengths. So that is just a little tidbit. I'm going to start doing this now in my videos. Always add in a little bit of how I read cards. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. One, what your year has been like. Two, what your thoughts are on. Do you enjoy like a video that is dedicated to how to read cards? Because if that's the case, then I could just do the overhead camera thing and, you know, do these kind of things that way in little snippets or something, or snippets. I talk for over an hour, snippets. Who am I kidding? You know what I'm saying. So if you prefer it separate from my chit-chatty videos, let me know, and I will make it as a separate from the chit-chatty video. If not, I'll just, you know, intersperse these little tarot thoughts in my chit-chatty videos. I don't want to promise because I always let myself down, but I am striving to be more present online because I miss it. Again, it's a creative expression. I miss interacting with all of you. Please let me know how you're doing. How's this year treating you? How are you treating yourself? Are you finding... it's also a strength year, I think. I'm not going to do the math here on the spot, people, because it's a Mingus, but I'm pretty sure it's a strength year. It's an 8 year. 2024. Sorry. Let me know how you're doing. What have you been up to? Hey, you know what? How are you feeling about, how are you feeling about tarot? Are you reading with your tarot? Or, are you, or is Oracle, are you being drawn more to Oracle cards? I like to know this kind of stuff because I find that I have different uses for, two distinct uses for tarot and for Oracle cards. So, I don't know. Let me know how you're doing. All right? Thank you so much for being here. And wherever you are in the world, I'm wishing you a beautiful day. Bye-bye.